Welcome to our third webinar, Key, Rail, and Transport Passes in Japan. Following the JNTO presentation, there will be a brief section by our partner, Tokyo Metropolitan Government. My name is Sally, and I'm the Business Development and Marketing Senior Assistant Manager at JNTO Sydney. Today, I'm going to introduce some of the passes that we are most frequently asked about by travel agents and travelers. This will include Japan Rail Pass and some of the regional JR passes, as well as passes offered by private rail companies Tobu, Odakyu, and Kintetsu, and the bus company Alpico, as well as domestic airlines. Please note that all costs given in this presentation are as of June 1st, so for latest prices and commission information, please contact each supplier. So, what do the trains look like? Let me share some photos that I and some of my colleagues have taken on our own trips to Japan. Here is a comparison of the Shinkansen and the local trains. So on the right, you can see the Tohoku Shinkansen, which has a nice distinctive blue-green color. And on the left, you can see one of the local city trains in Tokyo. You'll also note that on the station platform, there are markers. The number 8 on this marker means that it's car number 8 out of a total of 16 cars. Different trains have different lengths. So that tells you where you can board if you have a reserved seat. Inside the Shinkansen, the style will vary depending on the route. So this is the Hokkaido Shinkansen, which runs between Tokyo and Kyoto. And as you can see in this particular one, there is actually a PowerPoint in the row itself. Not every Shinkansen will have this. Sometimes there's only a PowerPoint in the very first and very last seat. This one, as you can see, is a 3-seat configuration, which in ordinary class is quite standard. There's a configuration of 3 seats on one side, 2 on the other. And there's a luggage rack overhead. So if you can lift up your suitcase, your medium or small suitcase or bag, you can put it on the rack above you. There's a fair bit of leg room, so if you're short, you can actually put your suitcase in front of your legs, but if you have long legs, this might not be so comfortable. In comparison, this is actually still ordinary class, but this is on the Sanyo Shinkansen. As you can see, it's a 2 and 2 configuration instead of the 3 and 2. This is, as I said, still ordinary class, so it just depends on the route. Now, I don't have any good photos of the seats of green class, I'm afraid. The best I can do is this one that my partner took on our last trip to Japan, of the back of a green seat. So just to give you an idea, the green seat has a fixed armrest, whereas in the ordinary class you can raise it. There is a leg rest. Sometimes it may be power controlled, sometimes it may be manual. You still have the tray table. There's a reading light on the headrest, which you can control by a button on the armrest. And there's also a power outlet, usually one per pair of seats. So a little bit more comfort and space here. Then to take it up even one further notch, this is Grand Class, which is only available on certain routes, including the Hokuriku Shinkansen. So Grand Class is a step above green. As you can see, the configuration is 2 seats to 1. There are actually storage compartments above the seats, not just the rack. The reading light is a bit more of an actual thing, and depending on the ticket, there's sometimes a welcome drink involved as well. So that gives you an idea of what the trains themselves look like. The first pass that I will talk about today is the Japan Rail Pass, JR Pass. As I explained in episode 1 of our webinar series, this can be used on all Shinkansen bullet trains throughout the country, as well as all local JR trains. The JR Pass will be changing to a digital version, away from the paper version that it was in the past, as of this month, but I don't have any images of that yet, and some of the other JR passes are still using this paper version. So this image will have to be our placeholder for now. So in terms of pricing for the Japan Rail Pass, as I explained in the first webinar, The pass can now be purchased online as well as on the ground in Japan, but your clients will save money by purchasing it through you. In terms of you purchasing the rail pass, JTB is one of the wholesalers in Australia and New Zealand that offers the pass at wholesale prices, so please contact them to find out what the pricing in Australian dollars will be for you. Now, this chart shows the difference in cost in yen between purchasing the pass through you as an agent versus the client purchasing it direct online. So if they want to know why they should buy it through you, just point out that they are saving money doing it that way. In terms of whether the pass is economically worth it, again, this is just the same chart I used in episode 1 of the webinar, but basically if they're doing one round trip between Tokyo and Osaka within 7 days, by the time they've done any other little trips, they've basically paid for the pass. If they do Tokyo to Hiroshima and back, they've already paid for their 14-day pass. It is important to remember that the JR pass, like most of the passes in this presentation, are for consecutive days use. Unless I specify, the pass is always for consecutive days use, starting on the day that you start using it. One of the other very important things to note about the Japan Rail Pass is that there are 2 types of Shinkansen that your clients cannot use. One is the Nozomi on the Hokkaido Sanyo Shinkansen. They can, however, use the Hikari and Kodama on that Hokkaido Sanyo Shinkansen, so they still have plenty of options. What does that actually mean, though, for someone who doesn't know Shinkansen very well? Well, basically, Nozomi is the fastest type of Shinkansen on this route. It makes the fewest stops. Hikari is in the middle, and Kodama is the slowest. It stops at every single Shinkansen station, whereas Hikari stops at some of them, and Nozomi only stops at the really major ones. Practically speaking, what this means is the difference, basically, Nozomi takes about 2.5 hours between Tokyo and Shin Osaka. Hikari takes about 3 hours, so you're adding 30 minutes on. Kodama takes about 4 hours, so it's quite a bit longer, but you would only really use Kodama if you were going to one of those smaller stations. Hikari still runs quite frequently, so you have plenty of options. This is quite important to note when you're looking for train timetables on Hyperdia, because you can uncheck a box for Nozomi Shinkansen so that you make sure you're looking at train routes that are usable on the Japan Rail Pass. The other key exception is the Mizuho Shinkansen in Kyushu, which again, same thing, it's the fastest one. Your clients just can't use that one on the JR Pass, but they have other options. There are other types of Shinkansen that they can use. It's also worth noting that the Nozomi and Mizuho Shinkansen actually cost a bit more if you're buying the sector tickets. So there is actually a surcharge to use the fastest one. Now, one interesting thing is that Hayabusa on the Tohoku Shinkansen is actually allowed on the Japan Rail Pass. But if you're using Hyperdia, the checkbox to exclude the fast trains includes Hayabusa. So if you're looking at train routes for your clients traveling from Tokyo to Kyoto or Fukuoka or Hiroshima, you make sure you untick that box. You do not want to search for trains that use Nozomi and Mizuho. But if your clients are traveling north from Tokyo to Sendai or Aomori or Hakodate, you want to leave that box checked because you want to still search for Hayabusa trains because those are permitted. What is the actual process to get and use a JR Pass? Well, firstly, you will purchase an exchange voucher for your client. That's not the one that's pictured. The picture here is of the actual JR Pass. I don't have an image of my last exchange voucher. So what you get from the wholesaler is the exchange voucher. Your client then takes that exchange voucher to Japan and goes to one of the dedicated exchange counters. There's a list of these on the JR Pass website. They then show their passport with their temporary entry visa stamp in it and select a pass start date. they can select that start date to be the day they are exchanging the pass, or they can set that start date to, I think, within 1 month of the date they're exchanging it. So that way they have the pass in hand and ready to use, even if they're not using it that very day. It's also worth noting that Japanese nationals are not eligible for most of the JR Pass. For details on that, check with the wholesaler or check the terms of each pass. Then your client will need to make seat reservations in person at a ticket window. This cannot be done from outside Japan except with the JR East area. I'll talk about that in a bit. But in principle, they have to make seat reservations in person once they're in Japan, once they have their pass. Again, if they activate the pass today, but they want to start using the pass tomorrow, today they can still go and make their seat reservation for use tomorrow when the pass is valid. If they're traveling with large luggage that cannot go on the overhead rack or in front of their legs, they will need to make sure that when they book a seat, they say they want one for large luggage. This will be one of the seats at the far rear of the carriage because there's space there between the last seat and the back wall. If they do not book this seat and they use that seat, there may be a fee that they have to pay to the conductor on board. Once they have their seat reservations, or if they decide they just want to use an unreserved seat, they can either show their paper pass at a staffed ticket gate and walk through, or if they have one of the new electronic JR passes, they just tap that on the automatic gates. Then they board the train. If they do not have a seat reservation, they need to make sure that they're checking the signboards to see which cars are unreserved seats. If they sit in a reserved seat, they may have to pay the reserved seat fare or be asked to move from that seat because someone else may have reserved it. Finally, when they're ready to leave the station, it's the opposite of step 5. They either show their paper pass at a staffed ticket gate, or if it's the electronic one, they tap that to exit the station. As I mentioned in episode 1, SUICA is not a rail pass. It's a prepaid touch-and-go card. SUICA is the brand issued by JR East, but there are equivalents issued by other companies. All of the cards I've listed here can be used interchangeably. So you can, for instance, use a SUICA in Osaka. However, you cannot use the SUICA for travel between different JR areas, only for travel within one JR area. So for instance, you cannot use the SUICA to travel between Tokyo and Osaka because that crosses different JR areas. SUICA can also be used as e-cash anywhere you see the SUICA logo, which can include vending machines, cafes, convenience stores, and more. The standard cost to purchase a SUICA is 2,000 yen, which includes a 500 yen deposit. The deposit is refundable if your client goes to a station within that network, so SUICA would be within JR East. There is a service fee of 220 yen. So effectively, they would get 280 yen of their deposit back. However, the balance on the card does not expire for 10 years, so you can always encourage your clients to keep the card for their next trip. The card can be reloaded with cash only, up to a maximum balance of 20,000 yen. They can do this at ticket machines, which can be switched over into English, or at some shop counters, such as 7-Eleven. You can also get a SUICA for your client through certain wholesalers such as JTB. Another new product offered by JR East is the Welcome SUICA. This is not available through agents. This is just something that your clients would purchase once they arrive in Japan. It can only be purchased at the airport or a few major stations in Tokyo or Sendai. There's no 500 yen deposit required, but for this one, the balance expires after 28 days. So if a client makes a last-minute booking or decides last minute that they want a SUICA and you don't have time to source one for them, you can always recommend that they get this one. The JR East Pass is one of the only flexi-use passes, and it comes in two main types that I'll talk about today. The first is the Nagano-Niigata Area Pass. This is good for travel around the Kanto region and up into Nagano and Niigata, as per the name. So in Nagano, you've got attractions like Matsumoto and the snow monkeys. In Niigata, you've got, as I introduced in the last webinar, some great sake, some cool agricultural experiences, plus some awesome ski fields and art fields as well. So this is a great option for skiers because you can use it for that flexible time period. So how this works is you've got unlimited rides on all JR East trains in this designated area, including the Shinkansen. It's 5 flexible days of use. Any 5 days within a 14-day period. You don't have to choose the 5 days you want to use it, but from the start date, you've got 14 days for any 5 days. There are free seat reservations from overseas, and JR East is one of the only ones offering this at the moment. So you can book your seats online on the JR East website if you are a JR Pass holder or a JR East Pass holder. And you can even make the reservations before you get the pass. It is possible to do so. They're just not valid until you get the pass. And if you do so and you don't get a pass, you will have to pay full price for the tickets. Otherwise, as long as you show your pass when you pick up your tickets, the seat reservations are free. The price is, as you would expect, quite a lot less than the full JR Pass. Again, remember this is 5 flexible days of use, so it's really great value in that respect. One other important thing to note, though, is that there is no green pass for this. You can use green cars, but you have to pay the additional fare if you want to do that. The next one is the JR East Tohoku Area Pass. So this is similar to the Nagano-Niigata one, but as per the name, it's for the Tohoku region. So this is great for the ski fields in Tohoku, as well as attractions like Sendai and Kakunodate, and the joyful trains like the ones I introduced in the model route in the last episode. So again, similar to the Nagano-Niigata one, unlimited rides on all JR East trains in the Kanto and Tohoku regions. Again, that does include Shinkansen and the joyful trains. 5 flexible days of use within the 14-day period. Free seat reservations online as well. And you'll note that it's a little bit more expensive than the Nagano-Niigata Pass, but Tohoku is a much bigger region. There's a lot more Shinkansen up in Tohoku, and there's a lot more land to cover. So it's still excellent value for money. Next is the Hokkaido Rail Pass. I'm afraid I don't have an official image for this, so I'm using the JNTO Japan map instead. The black lines on this map are the JR lines, and the Hokkaido Rail Pass can be used on all of those except for the Hokkaido Shinkansen. Technically, even though it connects Hokkaido to Honshu, to Aomori in Tohoku, that section is considered Hokkaido Shinkansen, so that's the only JR Hokkaido line you can't use. You can use it to get around to the whole island, so everything that was introduced in the last episode basically is part of the pass, which is really exciting. You can really go to town on it, especially because there are 4 different types depending on what you want to do. So the 3-day pass is 17,400 yen, and then the 7-day pass is 25,000. So it gets up to similar to a 7-day JR pass, which again, when you think about the duration of the pass and how much land there is to cover, quite a good value. There are limited express trains which you can use. There is no green class. This is one of the other ones that offers a flexi pass. In this case, it is 4 days within a 10-day period. You cannot choose a start date in advance when you activate this pass. Day 1 starts on the day that you activate it. So activate it on the day you want to use it. The next pass I'll introduce is offered not by JR, but by Tobu Railway. The reason I'm moving into this is because this is still in the sort of eastern part of Japan, so I'm going geographically here. Tobu Railway, it has a massive network which extends through Tokyo and 4 of the surrounding prefectures in Kanto: Chiba, Saitama, Tochigi, and Gunma. And this particular pass goes up into Tochigi to visit Nikko. Tobu Corporation also operates the Tokyo Skytree. So that's why you'll find that with this pass, which costs a mere 2,000 yen and change, it offers round-trip travel between either Asakusa or the Tokyo Skytree station and the Nikko area. So you get 2 days of unlimited travel on trains and buses in the area of the World Heritage Sites Nikko Toshogu Shrine, Nikko Futarasan Shrine, and the Nikko-zan Rinnoji Temple. It's good for 2 consecutive days and only allows 1 round trip. So it's great for overnights, traveling and staying within the Nikko area. It covers that whole Nikko and Kinugawa area, and Kinugawa is a great onsen area. The pass also offers special discounts at some facilities. Tobu Railway also offers another pass called the Nikko Pass All Area, which is good for 4 days of consecutive use. It's called the All Area because it covers a wider area than just the World Heritage one that I just introduced. The price varies depending on time of year because the transport options available on the pass vary. There is a summer and a winter version. The summer pass is a little bit more expensive because you can also use the Lake Chu-Zenji cruise ticket, and the World Heritage sightseeing bus has a slightly wider range than it offers in winter. This pass does not include the entry fees to things like Tobu World Square and Edo Wonderland, but it does include the transport to those locations. Also, like the World Heritage Pass, this does offer some special discounts at some facilities as well. Odakyu Railway is another company located in the Kanto area, and one of their most popular passes is the Hakone Free Pass. This is good for 2 or 3 consecutive days, and it has different prices to start from Shinjuku, Odawara, or another station called Machida in Tokyo. If coming from Shinjuku, there is a separate limited express ticket required for the romance car, which is a sightseeing train, but you can use just the regular Odakyu train on this ticket without an additional cost. If coming from Odawara, this is a good option for people traveling by Shinkansen because Odawara is a Shinkansen station. The Hakone Free Pass covers various transport methods within Hakone, including the Tozan cable car, the ropeway, the sightseeing cruise on the tall ship, buses around the area, and more. It offers special discounts at some facilities. Another pass offered by Odakyu Railway is the Fuji Hakone Pass, which covers a much wider area. So whereas the Hakone Pass covers just the Hakone area, the Fuji Hakone Pass also goes up to the Fuji Five Lakes area and even includes Fuji-Q Highland. This is good for 3 days of use, and you can start it either at Shinjuku or at Odawara. For both the Hakone Free Pass and the Fuji Hakone Pass, it only includes 1 return from Tokyo, so this is intended for people who are staying in the Fuji or Hakone area for 1 or 2 nights. The Fuji Hakone Pass, as I mentioned, covers transportation within the Hakone area, most of which is the same as that covered on the Hakone Pass, as well as transportation to and around the Fuji Five Lakes area. This one also does offer special discounts at some facilities in the area. The next set of passes I'm going to introduce are not actually rail passes. These are bus passes for highway buses in the Hokuriku Shinetsu region. Alpico has also just made a website that showcases the passes and destinations that they visit, so please have a look at that as well. Many of the tickets for these passes are available only at bus terminals in Japan, but some of the main passes are available online, so please contact Alpico for more details. The 3-star route ticket covers areas that have been rated 3 stars in the Michelin Green Guide. You can choose either a Kanazawa or Toyama type. So this pass takes you to areas like Matsumoto, Takayama, Shirakawa-go, Kanazawa, or Toyama. It's available for 4 consecutive days, and it runs at just 6,000 yen, so it's a very economical way. However, it is only a one-way ticket, so it's great, for instance, for people traveling by Shinkansen from Tokyo to Kanazawa and then coming down to Matsumoto, or vice versa, to take the Shinkansen plus regular train or a bus up to Matsumoto and then traveling up to Kanazawa or Toyama. Next up is Alpico's Alps crossing ticket. This one is good for, as per the name, crossing the Alps between Matsumoto and Takayama. There are 3 different routes depending on what it is that you want to see, and they cover things like the Shin Hotaka ropeway, the Kamikochi area, Hirayu Onsen, Mount Norikuta, and the Norikuta Kogen Tourist Center. So some beautiful mountainous area. It runs at just 5,000 yen, and it's a one-way ticket. And the third pass I'll introduce from Alpico is their 4-day Alps-wide free passport. So as per the name, it is good for 4 consecutive days within this Alps area, and again includes destinations like Matsumoto, Takayama, Shirakawa-go, and Kamikochi. It does cost a bit more, of course, because it's 4 days, and the price varies by time of year, because certain routes are not available for use in the winter. Sticking in the same region, but switching to train passes, JR Central offers the Alpine Takayama Matsumoto Area Tourist Pass. As per the name, it visits these areas: the Alpine routes, Takayama, and Matsumoto. It's the only JR pass currently that does include the Alpine route, including the system of cable cars and ropeways throughout there. It's good for 5 consecutive days, and you can start or end in Nagoya if you like, or start or end in Matsumoto. It is worth noting that with the JR Central passes, you can use reserved seats on the ordinary trains of JR lines only up to 4 times. Otherwise, it is non-reserved seating. Another pass offered by JR Central is the Takayama Hokuriku Area Tourist Pass. This one's great for visiting Shirakawa-go as well, because it includes the bus to Shirakawa-go too. This one is also good for 5 consecutive days, and whereas the previous pass is kind of a circle that just goes up to Toyama, this one also includes Kanazawa and then the train down through Fukui to Kyoto, Osaka, and even Kansai Airport. Another pass offered by JR Central in collaboration with JR West is the Ise Kumano Wakayama Area Tourist Pass. This one, as per the name again, covers the Ise area, the Kumano area, and Greater Wakayama. It does go up to Nagoya and Osaka as well, and just basically takes in the whole Kii Peninsula. It's good for 5 consecutive days, and as you can see on the map, it does include a couple of buses as well. Moving further west from here, JR West offers a number of passes. I'm only going to introduce a couple of these today. The first is the Kansai Area Pass, which comes, as you can see, in 4 different types: 1, 2, 3, or 4 consecutive days. And it covers the Kansai area, so destinations like Himeji, Osaka, Wakayama. Note that this is for Wakayama City, not all the way down to Koyasan and the Kumano-Kodo. It does cover Kobe and Kyoto and Nara as well. So great for seeing the key highlights of the Kansai area. If just the key highlights are not enough and you really want to explore a bit more, the Kansai Wide Area Pass does include all the areas I just mentioned, but expands that area a little bit wider. It's good for 5 consecutive days and expands to areas like southern Wakayama, including Koyasan and the Kumano-Kodo. It goes across to Okayama and Kurashiki, and from there you can take the train down to Takamatsu and visit northern Kagawa, or you can take the train up to the northern coast of Honshu and visit Tottori as well. Then, expanding even further from there, there's the Kansai Hiroshima Area Pass, which again covers the same areas as the last 2 passes, but expands a bit further yet and goes on down to Hiroshima and Miyajima, and even extends a little bit into Yamaguchi Prefecture over to the Kintetsu Bridge. As I said, there are additional JR West passes, but these are just a few of the highlights. Now, sticking in the Kansai region, but switching to a private rail company, Kintetsu. They were originally an electric tram system operating between Nara and Osaka, but now they've expanded to connect the really whole Kansai region. The Kintetsu Rail Pass is available in a few different types. There's the one-day pass, which covers kind of the basic core areas, such as Osaka, Kyoto, and Nara, and the 2-day pass, which covers those as well as down to Yoshino in Nara, which is known for its cherry blossoms, as well as southern Osaka. As you can see, the price varies depending on how long you use the pass for, and you may note that this price chart also shows a 5-day pass. So here is the route map for the 5-day pass and the 5-day plus. So these are essentially the same thing, just the 5-day plus also includes the local bus routes within these areas. Those are the shaded blocks you can see on the map surrounded by dotted lines. So this expands it out from just that Kyoto and Nara and Osaka, and takes you into places like Iga with the Ninja Museum, down to Mie where you can see the Ama divers in Ise and Ise Jingu Shrine. So it's giving you a much wider perspective of the Kansai area. Next up on our rail passes is JR Kyushu. So JR Kyushu offers a few different rail passes. As you can see by the price chart, we've got the All Kyushu, the Northern, and the Southern. First, I'll talk about the All Kyushu Area Pass. So this is available in a 3, 5, or a new 7-day pass. The 7-day pass has just launched this month, and this All Kyushu Pass covers all of Kyushu. So you can start in Nagasaki and go through Fukuoka and make your way all the way down to Kagoshima and along the coast on the east side and everything. The only JR that this doesn't cover in Kyushu is the Shinkansen between Kitakyushu, which is the gateway, and Hakata, Fukuoka Station, that dotted red line on the map. But other than that, it covers everything in Kyushu, including the Kyushu Shinkansen. In contrast to that, in contrast to the All Kyushu Area Pass, we've got the Northern Kyushu Pass and the Southern Kyushu Pass. The dividing line here is the local train that connects Kumamoto to Oita. So both the northern and southern passes do include this route. So the northern pass is this and north, so Nagasaki, Saga, Fukuoka. And the southern pass is this and south, so down to Kagoshima and Miyazaki. The southern pass only comes in a 3-day, whereas Northern, you've got the 3 or 5-day option. Next, I've got a couple of air passes to talk to you about because rail is not the only way to get around the country. Japan Airlines has the Japan Domestic Air Pass, and they've provided this information for us. There are a few different types, as you can see here. There's the Japan Explorer Pass, Welcome to Japan Fare, Okinawa Island Pass, and Japan Air Pass. The fares for these vary, the number of sectors available vary, but generally with one of these passes you can connect to really the entire country, which makes exploring to the further reaches a lot more convenient. And of course you can pair this with local passes in those areas. For more information, please contact JAL agency support. All Nippon Airways also has a couple of domestic passes that they offer. One is the Visit Japan Fare, which is a set of coupons for up to 5 sectors, and the other is the Discover Japan Fare, which is for discounted segments. These are only for residents outside of Japan and can only be booked from outside of Japan. This concludes my overview of some of the key rail and transport passes throughout Japan. I know it was a lot, so I do hope you'll continue to use this webinar as a reference to come back to help with understanding the different offerings available. You can, of course, contact JNTO or the suppliers for more information. As I mentioned, JTB offers all of the JR passes, and some other wholesalers offer some of them as well, like Nippon Travel Agency and HIS and Kintetsu. Otherwise, you can contact the suppliers directly. Do join us in 2 weeks for Wellness and Luxury in Greater Kansai, which will be airing on Thursday, the 18th of June at 11 a.m. Sydney time. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the live chat if you're joining us during the premiere. Otherwise, as usual, please email us at tradeau@jnto.go.jp. Next, I'm going to hand over to Tokyo Metropolitan Government, who have appointed Tourism Garden as their local representatives in Australia. Please do stay tuned because they're going to give you an excellent overview of Tokyo as well as introduce some areas of Tokyo Prefecture that you may not have known about. So once again, I'm going to leave this slide up for about 10 more seconds for you to gather your thoughts, pop any last questions in, and I hope you will stay tuned and enjoy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello everyone, my name's Alison Roberts-Brown. I'm here with my colleague Yukiko Arita. We're your local tourism representatives for the Tokyo Metropolitan Government here in Australia. Our role is to promote Tokyo by providing information to the travel industry and the media. Today's presentation is a general introduction to Tokyo and some of the major neighbourhoods. If you know Tokyo well, some of this material will be familiar to you. After the general introduction, Yukiko will then be giving you some news from Tokyo and a little bit more information about Tokyo's nature. When most think of Tokyo, you envisage a dynamic, vibrant metropolis city where a mix of modernity and tradition thrive. In fact, there's much more to Tokyo Prefecture than just the central city area. Tokyo also has forested mountains to the west, known as the Tama area, ideal for hiking and camping, as well as subtropical islands down in the south, known as Shima, which means island, offering white sandy beaches and lush forest-covered mountains. First of all today, we want to talk to you about the red area, central Tokyo. A good way to get your bearings in Tokyo is this green circle train line, pictured here. It's known as the JR Yamanote line. It's an above-ground railway looping Tokyo that can really help orientate you. It takes a full 59 minutes to do a complete loop. The Yamanote line links into Tokyo's vast metro subway network at many points around this circle. Today we're going to briefly introduce you to 4 of the top visited areas in Tokyo, and you can see them here on the map. Number 1, Shinjuku. 2, Shibuya and Harajuku. 3, Tokyo Station, which is the Marunouchi and the Ginza areas. And 4, which is slightly off the green circle, Asakusa, but it's also very easy to access. So let's jump in. Shinjuku is Tokyo's throbbing neon light center, a buzzing urban playground open around the clock, famous for shopping, dining and entertainment. And then there's Nishi Shinjuku, which is a cluster of high-rise skyscraper buildings. So for some of the top things to do in Shinjuku, enjoying the nightlife would have to be up there near the top of the list, with the entertainment districts in Shinjuku of Kabukicho, also Omoide Yokocho, which was once an illegal drinking street dating back to the 1940s. It's now unflatteringly known as Piss Alley, and Shinjuku's Golden Guy area. When you're in Kabukicho, don't forget to look up to see the life-size Godzilla atop the Gracery Hotel. Some of the best views of Tokyo can be seen from the observation deck on the 45th floor of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government buildings. It's free of charge to go up there, and they're open till late. For a complete contrast, the Shinjuku Gyoen Gardens are stunning in any season, and they're especially lovely during cherry blossom. You can shop till you drop in Shinjuku at the numerous department stores, and for some history and culture, why not make a stop at the Samurai Museum? For those of you keen on experiencing your own lost in translation moment, Sofia Coppola's film was actually filmed in Shinjuku's Park Hyatt Hotel. Shibuya and Harajuku, they're actually neighbouring stations on the Yamanote line, and they're walking distance from one another, and both of them are home to youth culture. Pictured here is the iconic landmark Shibuya Scramble Crossing, where you can see 1,000 or more people crossing at any one time. In November last year, a new high-rise building, Shibuya Scramble Square, opened above the station with a viewing platform that looks down onto the crossing. After visiting the Scramble Crossing, you can stroll down the fashionable youth street known as Cat Street towards Harajuku. In Harajuku, there are some great shopping spots for visitors, especially on the tree-lined boulevard Omotesando. It's really the Champs-Élysées of Tokyo, and there are plenty of cafes there to enjoy the tree-lined street. When in Harajuku, we recommend making a visit to the tranquil Meiji Shrine, where the souls of the Meiji Emperor and Empress are enshrined. The shrine sits in a giant forest of over 100,000 trees, and it's a true contrast of old meets new, being right next door to the recently modernized Harajuku station at the entrance of Youth Culture's central Takeshita-dori Street. In Takeshita-dori, you can see dressed up teens who are enjoying cosplay and a bit of garu culture. Now over to the Marunouchi and Ginza areas. Next to the red brick Tokyo Station is the Marunouchi area. It's the city's heart of business and finance. Tokyo's Imperial Palace and beautiful gardens are only 10 minutes walk away from Tokyo Station, but they're a world away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Then on the other side is the Ginza area pictured here. It's the center of shopping and department stores. The Yurakucho area, which is just before the Ginza, is also great for shopping and entertainment. Under the railway bridges in Yurakucho, you can also experience yakitori just like a local. Not far from the Ginza is the famous Tsukiji Outer Market, near to the former Tsukiji Fish Market. The Outer Market is still worth a visit for anyone who's keen on food culture. Why not try some sushi here, or even get a lesson in how to make sushi? Between the Ginza and Tsukiji is the famous Kabukiza, pictured here at the bottom right. This is where traditional performances of kabuki can be enjoyed, and nowadays with English translation headsets. Now to Asakusa, in the east side of central Tokyo. This area has always been proud of its well-preserved traditions, such as this pictured here, Tokyo's oldest temple, Sensoji, built in 628. When in Asakusa, you must visit Sensoji. And have a look at its 250-meter long Nakamize-dori, which is pictured here top right. In the Nakamize-dori street, you can find around 100 souvenir and snack shops, a lot of them selling local treats. Not far away is Tokyo's new symbol. A great tourist attraction is the Sky Tree. It's a 634-meter tall tower, and now it's one of the city's leading attractions. Also, it's the world's tallest freestanding broadcasting tower. If you like food culture, definitely make a trip to Kappabashi, not far away from Asakusa. It's a kitchen goods street where they also make the plastic food that you see in restaurant windows. Then there's the Taiko Drum Museum, which is fun for all the family. Your clients can take the river cruise or the water bus ferry from Asakusa all the way down to Odaiba, on Tokyo Bay, or also back to Hinode Pier. They can enjoy the view along the way of the towering Sky Tree and get a taste of Tokyo from the city's waterways. That's all for the general introduction. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Yukiko Arita, who'll run you through some Tokyo updates and let you know about Tokyo's nature.
Hi everyone, this is Yukiko. Let's start with hotel updates. Tokyo has many hotels scheduled to open over the next year, from international hotel brands to local, sustainable budget hotels. We wanted to share just a few of the exciting openings. Firstly, Four Seasons Hotel Tokyo at Otemachi. This new property is located right next to the Imperial Palace, offering expansive views over the city and the palace. Kimpton Shinjuku Tokyo. Just 10 minutes from JR Shinjuku Station. This hotel combines style and ethos inspired by New York art scenes with detailed Japanese artisan accents. Tokyo Bay Shiomi Prince Hotel. 605-bedroom property is located 1 minute walk from Shiomi Station and 10 minutes train ride to the Tokyo Disney Resort. As some of the twin room can convert into quadruple room, it is also ideal for family stays. The last one, Hotel Risol Ueno. This hotel located just 1 minute from JR Ueno Station, close to many of Tokyo's major museums and attractions. They are positioned as creative hotel. The guests can find their creativity and new value each time they visit. The next update is new attraction called Small Worlds Tokyo. The world's biggest miniature theme park is scheduled to open this month in Tokyo's Ariake in the Bay Area. Visitors can enjoy feeling like giants as they wander around the scaled-down models, most of them smaller than 5-cent coin. Even the associated sounds have been also created precisely. The scenes are both imaginary and recreation of real places and history. You can even watch rockets being launched from the Space Center. Exciting news for rail enthusiasts. Tokyo welcomes 2 new rail stations this year. The first one, JR Takanao Gateway Station, just opened in March. It's the 30th station on the famous Yamanote Line looping Tokyo, and the first time the lines had a new station in 49 years. The new station is located between Shinagawa and Tamachi. This station was designed by famous Japanese architect Kengo Kuma, who was also involved with the design for the National Stadium Japan. Second new station, Toranomon Hills Station, is a metro station, scheduled to open in June. It is the first time in 20 years since the last metro station came. Toranomon Hills Station will be on Hibiya Line, one stop after Roppongi. If your clients are staying at Anders Tokyo Hotel, this will be the closest station. Tokyo Olympic. The Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 have been postponed until 23rd of July 2021 and Paralympic Games until 24th of August 2021. Although the game will now take place in 2021, the IOC Executive Board has announced that title will remain as Tokyo 2020. Let's move on to Tokyo's nature. We touched briefly on Tokyo's Tama area earlier. With Tama area, Tokyo is formed a long stretch of land, running about 90 kilometers east to west and 25 kilometers north to south. To forested mountains Tama area, it is easy to access from the hectic hubs of Shinjuku. Mount Takao is one of the most popular day trip spots from central Tokyo, with a highly accessible mountain with hiking trail and cable cars. Everyone can enjoy the mountain air, beautiful nature, and views. Between June and October, your clients can also enjoy some beers in the highest beer garden in Tokyo. Take the Keio Line train from Shinjuku for Takao-Sanguchi Station. Travel time is only about 1 hour. Okutama is also easy day trip outdoor spot, good for fishing, nature hike, hot springs, and some adventure. Lake Okutama is good for hike, also hot spring. Hike the trail up to Mount Mitake or Mount Odakyu. Visit Nippara Gorge for fishing. To Okutama area, it takes about 2 hours from Shinjuku Station. Tokyo's islands. As we mentioned earlier, Tokyo is home of untouched island. They are rich in nature. Your clients can enjoy the adventure and cultural diversity. Let me introduce 2 popular islands. The first one is Oshima Island, which is the largest island and closest from central Tokyo. With a unique moon-like landscape, your clients can enjoy trekking around Mount Mihara and exploring fascinating nature rock formations. In February and March, the island's iconic and beautiful flower, camellia, are in full bloom. To access there, a high-speed ferry from Tokyo's Takeshiba is the easy option, operates daily, and takes about 2 hours. Another popular island is Hachijojima. There are many hot spring resorts and relaxing accommodations to enjoy tropical mini breaks. It is good for surfing and diving along with great hikes up Mount Hachijo Fuji. Your clients can also enjoy outdoor hot springs. It takes about 1 hour by flight from Haneda Airport. That's all we have time for today. You can access detailed information about Tokyo and many useful tools on our official website Go Tokyo.